ahead and get started. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Baines. Councilmember Bredefeld. Councilmember Capriolio.
Here.
Councilmember Chavez.
Here.
Councilmember Olivier. Vice President Brandow.
Here.
And Council President Soria.
Here. So next we have the invocation by Kevin Foster of LifeBridge Community Church. Would you please come forward? Also, I would ask everyone to stand and remain standing for the flag salute.
Let's pray. Lord, we just thank you so much for this opportunity we have to be together here today, Lord. Thank you for the great privilege it is to be able to come together, to be able to solve the issues of our city. Lord, we thank you that in Psalm chapter 37, that you will that you will let the justice of our cause shine like the noonday sun, Lord. And we're all here together today to try to figure out the best for our city. And I just pray that the justice of our cause of doing that, Lord, would help us, Lord, to understand that you're going to give us clarity today. You're going to give us understanding that your will is knowable and that you're going to help us to be able to be so clear on what you want us to do today. Lord, we thank you so much that you bring clarity. Lord, we just pray for the issues in our city of homelessness, Lord, and the growth, the crime, and everything that we have to decide today. I just pray that you would bring clarity like the noonday sun. We pray this in your precious name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
Yes, I have several changes. We've got 2 add-on proclamations. Susan G. Coleman, and that's sponsored by Councilmember Baines, Capriolio, and President Soria. We also have an add-on proclamation for West Care Foundation by Councilmember Capriolio. Item 4A, ID 18-1094, related to Fancher Creek Parkway, is being pulled from the agenda and moved to the October 11th meeting. And also item 1P, ID number 181100 is being pulled from the agenda. Those are the changes I have.
Madam Clerk, could you go over those last 2 again, please? Which 2 were they?
Okay, so for 4A, which is ID 18-1094, it's related to Fancher Creek Parkway.
Got it.
It's being moved to October 11th meeting. And then item 1P on consent, which is ID 18-1100, is being pulled. And that's relating to actions related to the Fourth Amendment to the Services Agreement with Orange Avenue Disposal Company.
And that's being pulled?
That's being pulled
Okay.
by staff.
By the administration, I'm assuming. All right, thank you.
Coming back next week?
I
Do we know?
did not get that information.
We're hoping to bring it back on October 11th.
Okay.
I have a question on that. Why is 1P being pulled?
We had a lot of very last-minute questions from council that we feel like we need to take more time and answer. Emails and things very late last night that we need to answer.
Okay.
Right there, I missed it. I was chit-chatting.
Why the item was being pulled?
Which one, 4A or 1P?
1P.
And what is the reason?
Because we've had a lot of last-minute questions from council that we feel like we need to answer more thoroughly before we bring it forward. So we're
Okay.
hoping to bring it forward on October 11th.
Okay. Then can we request meetings with you between now and then? I would like to have one of those meetings, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go on to the consent calendar. Would any, oh, sorry,
we need-
before that, actually, let me finish about the agenda. Are there any council members that have any changes to the agenda? Okay, so there's a motion by Councilmember Capriolio and a second by Councilmember Brandow. Any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries 5-0 with Councilmember Livia and Councilmember Baines absent. Next, we'll go on to the consent calendar. Would any council member like to pull an item for discussion? Councilmember Bredefeld. I don't have any items to pull, but I did want to just note for the record on the anti-camping ordinance, I would be registering a no vote. Thank you. We'll go to the next is council member comments.
We need to go out to the public and also approve the consent.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll go out to the public. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to comment on the consent calendar? Seeing none, we'll bring it back. Is there a motion? Motion by Councilmember Brando, second by Councilmember Capriolio. Any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries 5-0. Councilmember Olivier and Councilmember Baines absent. Next, before we go to the council member reports and comments, we'll do approval of the minutes. Are there any changes to the minutes of September 20th, Madam Clerk?
No changes.
Council members? Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Brando, second by Councilmember Chavez. Any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries 5-0 with Councilmember Baines and Councilmember Olivier absent. Now we'll go on to councilmember reports and comments. Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, President Soya. Just two quick things. This past Saturday, we had the Fancher Creek cleanup. Had over 100 residents that showed up to clean the creekway from Fowler all the way to where the bridge is, a little closer to Armstrong Temperance area. So just wanted to thank our partners, FID, our street sanitation department, Jerry Schuber, and his team. They did an amazing job of helping up with that cleanup. And then I wanted to relay a message from our friends over at the Fresno Fairgrounds. We know that it's almost fair time. And so for Fresno City employees, spoke to Lori King, says that our employees will be able to enter during lunch hours with their city ID through Gate 6, and the hours will be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. to go in there and enjoy some food and support the Fresno Fairgrounds. Thank you.
Councilmember Bredefeld.
Yes, thank you. Just a quick question for the city manager. We're getting a lot of calls on the water study with the fines and stuff. Wondering when that program is ending and when the results will come to the council.
So the program ends October 1st, and we plan on coming to council at the end of October with a workshop.
Great, thank you.
Councilmember Capriolio.
Thank you very much. I wanted to take a moment to congratulate and thank the Northeast Fresno Police Department, as well as the Fresno State Police Department for all their hard work. We have a great partnership between our men in blue and the people in blue at Fresno State University, and we love it. It's been very effective in our neighborhood. So I want to give a special thank you to the following people: Detective Danny Kim, Sergeant John Gravel with Fresno State, Officer Freeman with the bike unit. That's working out so well around El Dorado Park and the university. Thank you guys specifically for that. Of course, Chief Dyer, who's here, Sergeant Atkinson, Lieutenant Brogdon, Captain Bridges, Officers Claiborne, Saki, Berryman, Barnum, Rose, and the Resource Officer Barrios for hosting the first ever Cookies with Cops. Cookies with Cops, first ever, and it was a huge, huge success. We had a lot of people show up.
They switched from donuts now? They're on the cookies.
Well,
But they really need carrot sticks, maybe.
well, I'm not
I
going to
should
touch
talk.
that. I'm not going to touch that. Yeah, we need to lead by example, my friend.
Right.
Anyway, they did the first ever Cookies with Cops at Stone Soup in the El Dorado neighborhood. So we're implementing this program to teach our youth not to fear law enforcement. to teach them that law enforcement officers are your friends, and you can talk to them, and you can communicate with them, and they are an intricate part of every neighborhood in the city of Fresno. So there will be more Cookies with Cops in the near future for the adults, and soon we're going to have, for adults, Coffee with Cops. Now, Steve, you might have coffee and donuts with cops, or I don't know, but
Diet Dr. Pepper with cops.
yes. So anyway, I want you guys to thank you so much for all you do in my district and for my constituents. And I'm looking forward to Coffee with Cops and more Cookies with Cops. And last thing is just a reminder, October 7th, we'll hear about this in a minute, the Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure for Central Valley. So donate, get involved, go out there and run. And we'll talk about that in a minute and give you information to participate in that worthwhile cause. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Brando.
All right. City Manager, I also have a couple questions today. One of them is in April, we had to pull farmland ag mitigation from our calendar because it had been improperly noticed. And so I'm wondering if we've regrouped and are ready to bring that back forward to council.
So I just got an update from staff, and my understanding is that when we did bring it forward in April, we heard from the public that they wanted more public engagement with the issue. So we're working right now to schedule a meeting to get more public engagement on that item, and we're hoping to do that by the end of the year.
Oh, now, so in April, the public requested more conversations, and now in October or late September, we're going to get around to scheduling that.
I'm committing that it'll happen by the end of the year.
All right. Can you and I talk offline about that a little bit?
I am happy to talk offline.
I can organize that meeting for us by next week if you need some help.
I'm not even commenting, Councilmember Brando. Okay.
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 All right. I have another question, kind of similar. Our fire station west of 99, that is a very pressing issue, and I don't want that to slip like farmland mitigation has. So where are we at with that conversation?
That one is also a very important issue to the administration, and we have been working with a group of, a subcommittee of developers. We hope, we're vetting various options with them. We hope to have a detailed plan in the next month on how to move forward in that area.
Okay.
And I'll keep you posted on that one too.
All right. Thank you.
Steve, you might bring donuts to that meeting. You might bring donuts to that meeting. It might be more beneficial.
Great. So I have a couple comments just to make, but just want to reiterate the point that Councilmember Brandao just brought up about Fire Station 18. Also very important issue for me. So as long as, you know, he's kept up to date and myself, that would be great. And probably want to circle back with you guys maybe in about a week or week and a half to kind of figure out where you guys are at with that plan.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you. Just two comments. One, we have a District 1 Fall Festival. I announced it in our previous council meeting. This is happening this Saturday, September 29th. It is in lieu of us canceling our national night out because of bad air quality on that day. So it is happening on Saturday at Inspiration Park. So west of the 99 between 6 and 9 p.m. We're going to have food, music, ice cream, bounce houses, informational food booths, face painting, a slam dunk contest. We're going to have a bike rodeo with bike helmet giveaway, and we are going to be showing a movie in the park, which is Coco. So we encourage folks to come out. We've been publishing this for the last month, and so just want to make sure folks get a chance to come out and enjoy Inspiration Park on Saturday. Next, I did also want to remind folks in our community that we have our City of Fresno Youth Commission application. It is open. There are currently vacancies in District 1, 3, 4, and 7. So we are actively helping Youth Leadership Institute to get those vacancies. There's 2 appointments per district, so they each have 1 vacant opening. No, they have one opening. And so if you wish to apply, we encourage folks to contact our office. We're happy to provide the application to our young people between the ages of 15 and 21 years old that live or attend school in the council district are qualified to apply for it. Another thing that I wanted to make sure that we make note and adjourn in memory of Brian Leong. He is a former city employee for 29 years. We did get the very sad news that he is no longer with us, and so our sincere condolences to his family, but we also wanted to make sure that we adjourn in his memory. We didn't have any items pulled, right, from consent, so we'll go on to general administration. Since our hearings don't start till 10 a.m., so we'll go to general administration items, item 3A. This is an action pertaining to the 4,100 linear feet of water main installation in North Armstrong Avenue, located in District 4, Public Utilities. Oh, I forgot. I'm so sorry. I'm already wanting to get to work. Oh my God. Yes, we have the very important part of the meeting, which are ceremonials. Thank you for reminding me. And first up is actually Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you.
How come you didn't nudge me over here? Oh my gosh. And he has a special presentation to one of our FACTS employees, Ray Garcia. Where is he?
Mr. Garcia? Come on up, sir. Good morning. Oh, you guys are asleep. Good morning.
Gotta wait.
So a couple of months ago, I had the opportunity to head out to our yard and see firsthand the transportation department and, you know, what literally makes the wheels go round on the bus. And they even let me drive a bus. And so it was really informative. Don't report me to the Fresno Bee. It was actually inside the yard. I didn't go out in the street or any public roads. But I got a new sense of appreciation for the work that our bus drivers do. We know that a lot of our residents rely on public transportation, and you know, to get to medical appointments, to get to school, to get to, you know, a bunch of different areas and amenities that they need to get to. And so when I read about this heroic story of Mr. Garcia and the incident that occurred on August 21st, 2018, there was a fire on the bus, and Mr. Garcia made sure that everybody got off safely and then used the fire extinguisher, not his bare hands, to put out the fire. But as a result, there were no injuries. And I just wanted to recognize Mr. Garcia today and bring him in front of City Hall and really give him a proclamation, because oftentimes folks don't know that the folks that are behind the scenes doing the work and getting you know, folks to appointments and meetings and all that are not really seen as much, right? It's only when something happens. But I wanted to have you say a few words, and then we'll read the proclamation.
Well, I want to thank you very much for the award I'm about to receive, and I enjoy my job. I like working for the city. I like what I do out there, try to get people on time. It's not easy. A lot of times there's more students, people going to work, people, like he says, people going to doctor appointments. We're trying to pick it up and make sure that, you know, we have more buses out there, and listening to the public sometimes in the bus while we're driving, it's a big part of it, because we take that back to our supervisors and let them know that, you know, we're struggling maybe at some time points. And it's difficult, you know, having to watch traffic also at the same time, watching people get in and out of the bus. And also as we're taking off, to be safe, because traffic's always moving here in Fresno. And we had, you know, a lot of passengers who are in a hurry. A lot of times we're running late, and it happens.
So just a little bit of self-disclosure. I have the fascination with buses in the city. This wasn't the new BRT Q bus, was it? Okay, good, because those are brand new. They shouldn't be catching on fire in the city of Fresno. And I agree totally with what you said. I randomly ride the bus from time to time, and I hop on the Route 28 and just get a chance to kind of hear what the residents are saying. And I know that you have to deal with a lot of personalities. Some of them have more than one, so that's always a challenge. But City Clerk, can we read the proclamation?
It is with great distinction and pride that we join in honoring and congratulating you for your dedication and commitment to the city of Fresno. Our city greatly acknowledges your extraordinary efforts for going above and beyond in your reaction to putting out a fire on a city bus and to ensure the safety of passengers on board. We appreciate all of your support, professionalism, and the heroic action you exhibited on that day. Please accept a heartfelt thank you on behalf of the city of Fresno for your kind act of heroism. It is individuals such as you who truly make Fresno an all-American city. On behalf of the city of Fresno, we, Mayor Lee Brand, and the Fresno City Council do hereby proclaim Thursday, September 27th, 2018 to be Ray Garcia Day in the city of Fresno.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. And City Manager, he said, since it's his day, could he get the day off?
Next, we have Councilmember Capriolio, and the first special presentation is a recognition of the Fresno Regional Workforce Development Board's Quarterly Business of Excellence Award.
Thank you, Council President. Blake, come on up here. This is an exciting way for me to start my ceremonials this morning with a presentation with a Business of Excellence Award from the Fresno Regional Workforce Development Board to WestCare Foundation. So what we'll do is we'll have a video. We'll play that video. After the video, you can say a few words, if you would, about the award, its significance, and then we'll hear from WestCare. So with that, we can play the video.
WestCare is a health and human services organization. We provide everything from mental health services, rehabilitation for adults, adolescents, and pregnant parenting women, housing opportunities, criminal justice services, both inside the institutions and reintegration into society, back into the community. HIV/AIDS services, drop-in services, and education and prevention.
So I nominated WestCare because their investment in the community and their employees. When you visit WestCare, you really feel that the employees feel more like family instead of just like coworkers.
I think we started working with Workforce Connection back in 2002, and we've had a number of qualified candidates come from there, and even several of our current directors have come through Workforce Connection. Workforce Connection helps us with finding quality candidates for open positions that we have. They also assist in other ways, some is paying a portion of somebody's salary as they come on, as they're learning and getting trained. Also, we've been able to access some of the training that you guys have and ways that we can help some of our staff achieve additional training and certifications.
Workforce Connection most recently assisted WestCare with subsidized placement of a participant through an on-the-job training opportunity. Adela Acosta was referred to WestCare for a receptionist position, and Adela and WestCare successfully completed the on-the-job training, and WestCare offered Adela permanent employment at the end of the on-the-job training.
Well, WestCare is a great employer. It's a very supportive environment. Everyone is helpful, they're informative, everyone's happy, and they all help me when I need assistance.
As far as feedback that I've gotten from our participants that are employed with WestCare, they all seem very happy. Our most recent participant that was hired after completing the on-the-job training, she had several things positive to say about WestCare. She emailed me, she said she's always given support as well as feedback on anything that she does. She let me know that everything was going great, that she feels like she's part of the team, and she was very happy.
WestCare being a great employer, everything. The people around here are just so happy. They love their job and it shows, and so it makes it a great place to come to work every day. I like getting up and coming to work.
The reason that I feel that WestCare is outstanding or is an outstanding employer is because the employees at WestCare are rewarded with competitive wages, generous benefits package, all while working for an organization that does so much for the community. I think that it would be a good thing to go home at night and realize that you work for an organization that does so much to positively impact the community where you live.
Thank you very much. Round of applause for that video. That was very informative. Congratulations, Sean. Thanks for being here. Blake, the mic is yours.
Sure. Just a few brief words. We need employers like WestCare who are willing to work with us so that we can screen human capital and make sure we're referring over the right types of employees. Something to know about WestCare, though, is it's a Fresno company. It was started here 45 years ago under a different business name, and it's grown. And an interesting factoid, of the 52 counties that are in the state of California, WestCare has contracts with 38 of them. That's pretty good for a company that started here 45 years ago. And we're thankful for all your help, Sean, and look forward to referring qualified people over to you in the future.
Thank you. We really appreciate that, and we appreciate the recognition. And I think that Workforce Connection provides local businesses a way where you guys screen qualified candidates in advance, and finding qualified workforce is tough these days. And then when there's somebody that's even a little marginal that you guys think, hey, this will work, the opportunity to have on-the-job training and for you guys to pay a portion of their wages for a short time. Adela was a perfect example of that, and it worked out perfectly. So we have a number of employees that have come through you, and we look forward to a long-term relationship with you guys.
You know, that's what Fresno's all about, partnerships and getting together and making our community greater each and every day. So with that, if you'd read the proclamation, Madam Clerk.
Whereas the WestCare Foundation began operations.
Staff, come on up.
Began operations in California in 1974 in an effort to better the lives of citizens in the community in many different ways. And whereas the WestCare Foundation has expanded their efforts to help treat and rehabilitate recovering addicts, offer mental and wellness support, opportunities for housing and homeless help, involvement with veteran services and criminal justice. And whereas all of the efforts are made possible and successfully achieved by the staff at WestCare, their dedicated staff follows the mission statement of WestCare empowers everyone with whom we come into contact to engage in a process of healing, growth, and change, benefiting themselves, their families, co-workers, and communities. And whereas the partnership with Workforce Connection has given WestCare a number of employees that are strong and well-trained, adhering to the motto of uplifting the human spirit. And whereas the excellence in operation and treatment of the people they connect with along the way, noted treatment of their employees has earned them valuable recognition. Now therefore be it resolved, Mayor Lee Brand and the Fresno City Council members do hereby honor and recognize WestCare Foundation as the Fresno Regional Workforce Development Board's second quarter Business of Excellence Award winner. Be it further resolved that we, Mayor Lee Brand and the Fresno City Council members, do hereby proclaim Thursday, September 27, 2018, to be WestCare Foundation Day in the city of Fresno.
Thank you guys very much. Thanks for being here and all the good work you do for our community. Please keep it up. Another 45 years would be great. Thank you. Now we have some recognition that's sort of bittersweet. Unfortunately, we have to say goodbye. I don't want to say goodbye. They asked me to do that way back when I was appointed, and I said, I'll never say goodbye. I'll say I'll see you later. So hopefully we'll see you later. So with that, Miss Andrea Garcia, would you please come up here, as well as your sister, Diana. Come on down here. She thought she's going to get away, huh? No way. You're part of this. You're part of our family. So Andrea is a very special person for a number of reasons. She is a graduate of Fresno State, which is in our district. She has gone on to bigger and better things. She's pursuing a career in international business. She's currently been accepted for employment with Meridian Foods. It's a company that grows, packages, and exports a variety of berries to Europe, Asia, and North America. So with that, I wanted to thank you on behalf of all our constituents, all the people that you've touched through your service with District 4. We couldn't do as good a job as we have done without you. You're a key person to that, and you will be a key person at Meridian. So when you make the big time, big leagues, don't forget us little people. Come back and visit, say hello to all our constituents. And this is Diana, your sister. Come on in. And you want to say a couple words, Andrea?
Yeah, first of all, I'm very blessed to have worked with Councilmember Capriolio and Chief of Staff Laura and Andrew and Taylor, my coworkers. I'm very thankful for being able to have this time with you guys and learn from you guys, and it's something that I'll take with me for the rest of my life. So thank you very much.
Listen, thank you. So we have this certificate of recognition, and I'll read it from my notes here. On behalf of the City of Fresno, we extend our gratitude to you for your dedication to the constituents of District 4. All of us here at the City of Fresno, we're very fortunate to have you be part of our team, and you will be greatly missed. Although our time here was short, you made a great impact on District 4, and we thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts, and best wishes to you, and hopefully your sister can follow in your footsteps. No pressure. Okay, so you're going to go into the teaching field. Are you a Fresno State graduate too? Wow, that's great. We're all bold dogs. I graduated. But anyway, it's congratulations and thank you both so very much. Thank you. This is part, or most of my staff, actually, and we need to have Laura in the picture, too. No. Come on, somebody's got to help us out here. Would you help us out and take a picture? Here we go, Lance. All right, Mr. PR. This is our fearless leader, Laura Rios. Last but not least, if I could have my colleague join me here. Again, good morning, and Sharon Johnson, Lance, Lisa, would you guys come on down, please? This is everyone involved with a Race for the Cure. Good to see you again. We do this every year. I'm so thankful. Oh, you're welcome. Unfortunately, Councilmember Baines couldn't be here. He's out of the country, but he definitely wanted to be part of this procedure and process today. And Lance, there really aren't any hard feelings for taking this great race out of Fresno State, my district. No hard feelings, no grudges. Don't ever do that again. No, just kidding. Anyway, that's been moved to the ballpark. So we're very thankful for that cooperation and that ability to keep the race going and your involvement there, Lance. So with that, this month we're here to honor those whose lives were tragically cut short by breast cancer. And we stand here with the families to let everyone know that we are going to do the best thing we can, use all tools and resources possible to fight this devastating disease. Unfortunately, or fortunate for me, I know all too well how this impacts a family. So I was advised that my mom had breast cancer, and it was shocking, and it really hits home when that happens. And so I admire my mom's strength. At that time, my dad had a little Alzheimer's as well, so it was a very, very difficult time for our family. But she's a brave, strong woman, as all women are, and she survived with a double mastectomy. But she's here today. She's 90, not here today, but she'll be 92 in November. I'm going to try to bring her down here. She's kind of shy to celebrate that birthday. But back to Susan G. Coleman, Central Valley Race for the Cure at Chauncey Park, and we look forward to seeing that. I'll let Madam President say a few words.
Thank you. I'll keep it very short. I just want to thank you guys for all the work in really bringing awareness to the issue, because far too many women are being still today impacted by this disease. What I do want to say is that we need to talk about early detection. That's a huge issue. I know when I worked in Sacramento, we worked on legislation to try to lower that number so that women could have qualify for early detection test. So you guys have my full support in terms of the issue of bringing awareness, and whatever you guys need, I look forward to being out there and supporting you guys on the day.
Thank you so much. Council members, Mr. Capriolio and Esmeralda, thank you so much. And with me is Lisa, who is our race coordinator. She's like a niece to me. And of course, Lance Cardoza, who is like a nephew to me. These two are the ones, they really keep everything going. It's an honor to celebrate our 20th anniversary this year. It gives us an opportunity to celebrate the life of Carolyn Jorgensen, who is the founder of the race. We've had 20 years of presence here in Fresno, the city of Fresno. Our territory has expanded to 29 counties, however. But it also will give us the chance to celebrate women who have battled breast cancer, those currently battling, and also those that have metastatic disease that will battle for the rest of their lives. One thing that has really been beneficial in early detection, we have a bold goal, which is to reduce breast cancer death by 50% by 2026. So we have a bold goal tour that we are doing, where we partner with mobile mammography. We have education that same day. We went from 305 instances of granting mammograms to women, providing access to women for mammograms in 2016. And in 2017-18, the number went up to past 1,500, and we're also educating over 6,000 women a year. So we thank you for this event to bring awareness to the race and to the affiliate. Thank you so much.
Yes, if you guys aren't registered for the Race for the Cure, it is on the 7th at Chuck Chansey, and you can register online until the 5th, and it's at ComanNCCalifornia.org, and I expect to see all of you there. Thank you.
I would like to just thank the city. They've been very cooperative in working with us and making sure we get through all the red tape properly to be able to hold this race every year at Chachansey Park. Dave Jabot with our motors unit and his supervisor, Lieutenant Rick Tucker, was just here with Chief of Police, and they've been very supportive in making us a safe event every year.
Thank you. I was just pointing out the proclamation. This is the only proclamation we do in pink.
We've never had a pink one. This is so awesome. Thank you.
Laura Rios is a fantastic person in that regard. And by the way, if you were related, you got all the looks. Sorry, Lance. Can we read the proclamation, please?
Whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month is celebrated across the nation in the month of October and is a reminder of the constant fight against the disease, and to honor all those who have survived the battle, as well as those who are currently battling breast cancer. And whereas the City of Fresno encourages its citizens to join in the fight to educate their communities about the importance and seriousness of breast cancer and promote early detection methods such as mammograms, regular breast self-exams, and clinical breast exams in order to help detect cancer in its early stages. And whereas the early detection of breast cancer has saved the lives of many women who, with the help of other organizations like Susan G. Komen, Central Valley, that are able to get the necessary preventive education to detect this disease and treat it accordingly, as well as help young women and providers identify the specific threats and warning signs of breast cancer that lead to early diagnosis and prevention of efforts of women that can undertake to reduce risk. And whereas Susan G. Komen focuses on supporting those with the fewest resources, including the uninsured, underinsured, and low-income individuals unable to access care. In the past year, Susan G. Komen, Northern and Central California, has provided access to mammograms to nearly 1,600 women and provided breast health education to nearly 7,000 women. And whereas since 1997, Coleman Northern and Central California has funded almost $16 million to community programs serving local women and men while contributing over $6 million to Coleman Research. Coleman has recently donated to researchers at prestigious California universities, including Stanford University, University of California, San Francisco, to name a few. And whereas there are over 3 million survivors of breast cancer thanks to community programs for education and the countless hours spent in time to research, the hope for Susan G. Komen and the entire nation is that the number of survivors will continue to grow in the future. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, Mayor Lee Brand, and the Fresno City Council members do hereby recognize National Breast Cancer Awareness Month in the city of Fresno, and we are proud to support the efforts of Susan G. Komen, Central Valley, and hereby proclaim Sunday, October 7th, 2018, to be Susan G. Komen Northern and Central California Race for the Cure 20th Anniversary Day in the city of Fresno.
Congratulations and thank you. Keep up the good work. Good to see you again. Lance, always a pleasure. I think, Steve, we have one more ceremonial. Hispanic Heritage Month is our next ceremonial, and Council President, the microphone is yours.
Councilmember Chavez, would you like to come and join me? Consul David Preciado, if you want to come on down. So this morning, it is my pleasure to be able to recognize our Mexican consulate, David Preciado, as we recognize and celebrate actually Hispanic Heritage Month that begins on September 15th, so we're way a week into it, but September 15th through October 15th. And so this is a national celebration that happens throughout the entire country where we celebrate histories not only of the Mexican people that have lived here, but all people from various cultures from Spain, the Caribbean, Central and South America. But for us, what is significant is that we live in a community here in particular the city of Fresno where close to 50% of the population are Latino, many of them and the majority of them from Mexican descent. And so communities throughout the state and throughout the nation celebrated. One of the significant celebrations that happened that the Mexican consulate just put on was the Fiestas Patrias that happened earlier this month. Big celebration. We've had it here. We also do the flag raising here as a symbolic gesture of this important date to the Mexican community. And so I just wanted to thank you not only for continuing to help us celebrate our culture and our heritage, but I think for all the services and the work that you've done here in the city of Fresno and throughout the Central Valley so that people of Latino descent, in particular Mexicans, have access to the services that you guys give every single day, sometimes 7 days a week, because I know that you guys have your mobile unit out, in particular in the rural community. So I want to thank you for that.
Also want to thank you, Consul, for the work that you do in our community and sharing our culture with the public at large. This past year, I had a chance to be a taco judge for the taco throwdown at Grizzly Park. Yes, I ate 30 tacos and picked the actual winner. But I did want to thank you, and I mentioned food because food's the way for us to share our culture and start that conversation. And I also want to invite folks to go out to the Fresno Fairgrounds. There's a museum in there, and then within that museum, there's a special area that highlights the contributions of Hispanic community here in the Central Valley. And a lot of people don't know that the name of our city, Fresno, is actually a Spanish name for ash tree that lined the San Joaquin River. And so I want to make sure that, folks understand the contributions and appreciate what we do here in our community. And I always say this, that, that communities arrive when They share different foods and cultures, and South Fresno has a donut shop that sells Mexican food, Chinese food, American food, and it's all prepared by a Cambodian chef. So that's South Fresno for us, but I want to make sure that we recognize our community, and I want to thank you too, Consul, for the work that you've done in our city.
So before we read the proclamation, I'll give you an opportunity to maybe just talk a little bit about the event that we had and then some of the things that you guys are doing to reach out to the community.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank Council President Esmeralda Soria, Vice President Steve Brandeu, and Council members Paul Capriolio, Luis Chavez, and Gary Bradfield. As always, it is an honor to celebrate the many cultures that make up our community during the National Hispanic Heritage Month. Hispanics work every day in supporting this country, helping it grow and improve all together. Like you know, half of Fresno population is Hispanic. More than 1,300 students graduate every year from Fresno State, providing more prepared professionals for the future. Also, 35% of the small business are owned by Hispanics. And Mexican investment holds up to more than 13,000 jobs in California. National Hispanic Heritage Month is important because of that. It reminds us how Hispanics help build the society in the search of a better future. Also, how we have played a key role in the shaping of the American culture as we know it today. But most important of all, it reminds us that no matter our roots or backgrounds, if we can join hers in the hope of a better today, the paving of a better tomorrow will come on its own. Diversity, after all, makes a country richer in every way. And about the celebration we have last week for this Hispanic month, we want to really to say thank you, Esmeralda, for your support, Luis Chavez, and also the Mayor Lee Ran because he was there with us. And we could bring from Mexico different groups, our culture, our food. But talking about diversity in this special month, I wanted to say just something. That diversity is not only to understand just the meaning. It's more than that. You know, because Mexico is just neighbor. I think all our culture, our roots, our tradition, is to think about Juan, Maria. They are working in the fields. The people who is working in the restaurants, who really take care of us, our kids and home sometimes. The council members, the mayors. But in the end of the day, we are just people, human beings. And in the end of the day, we are only one community. And thank you to understand diversity, not just the meaning, to really love our community, to really open your hearts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Consul, for those words, and thank you again for continuing to showcase our culture and the richness that exists and really the value of diversity from our community. So we want to thank you for that work. Madam Clerk, if you could read the proclamation for the record.
Whereas Americans observe National Hispanic Heritage Month from September 15th through October 15th. And whereas Hispanic Heritage Month celebrates the history, culture, and contributions of Hispanic Americans in the United States. And whereas this celebratory tradition began in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week under Lyndon Johnson, and later expanded to 1 month by President Ronald Reagan in 1988. And whereas the commencement date of September 15th is special because it marks the anniversary of independence for Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua, followed by the independence of Mexico on September 16th and independence of Chile on September 18th. And whereas the city of Fresno has a population of over 50% Hispanic, and whereas the Consulate of Mexico in Fresno ensures that Mexican citizens and children of Mexican citizens have resources necessary to improve their quality of life here in the city of Fresno. and surrounding areas. Now therefore be it resolved that the City of Fresno Mayor and City Council does hereby recognize September 15th through October 15th, 2018 as Hispanic Heritage Month in the City of Fresno.
Next, we will move on to our scheduled hearings. We'll start off with our 10 a.m. scheduled communication. This is a special appearance by Mr. Sammy Franco to speak to the City Council about Granite Park and its operators. So if you can state your name and address for the record, you will have 3 minutes.
My name is Sammy Franco. Home address is 1039 East Hogan Avenue. I live in District 6. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak in front of the council today. I want to mention that I'm in no way here I know this is a sensitive issue for the city, and I'm in no way here to bash or to criticize any individual or organization or the city. More for clarification. I'm born and raised in Fresno, so I understand how important it is for the city to not fail with Granite Park, and I'm very, very optimistic that Granite Park can be successful. But I want to reference back to 2015 when the vote passed, and in the meeting, everybody was very optimistic. Bruce Rudd mentioned that CVCSF, the nonprofit that operates Granite Park, would be coming up with the $2.7 million. There's also to fund all of the improvements and to revitalize Granite Park. Everybody was very optimistic and very excited about the change, as was I. You know, I was close to the project as well. Fast forward to March of 2018, and the council is reviewing a motion to purchase nets because the park is not self-sustaining as it was told to the city that it could be. And so then it becomes an issue now of how have the taxpayers' dollars been appropriated for this project. And in looking through the lease, which I did a Public Records Act because I wanted to be more informed on the issue, and looking through the lease, and I've presented just some quick references to you guys in the packets there. Some items that were supposed to have happened that I see clarification on that really haven't happened. So I look first at the feasibility project that was done it was created by a third-party company for CVCSF, which states that based on the conclusion summarized, the project operated and maintained by CVCSF would be feasible in that the revenues generated by the regional sports complex would more than offset the cost to operate the facility. And that's based on $2.7 million worth of improvements that would have included basketball courts, volleyball courts, sand volleyball courts, a 2-story restaurant, a gift shop, and walking trails. Executive decisions were made not to execute those. It was not brought to council as it was supposed to be, as included in the lease. And I believe that the city may state that these could have been sources of revenue streams that could have helped.
Yeah, your time is up. Do
Council
you want to wrap up?
Could I allow him to do the full 10 minutes? Do I need to ask him a question?
If that's your request,
I'd like to
I'm
allow
totally fine with
him,
it.
if it's okay, I'd like to allow him, I think you can get a full 10 minutes to present.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So it was told to the city, and this was the same information that was given to the lenders to receive the funding for the Granite Park project, that the project could stand on its own with all of these revenue streams intact. I go to the next one, which is now the signed lease agreement in 2015, December 7th of 2015, between the city and CVCSF. And it's signed, date effective December 7th, 2015. And at the bottom in Article 3, it talks about rent being accrued as $62,005 annually, but then credited against the value of the capital improvements at $2.7 million dollar amount, which included all of those improvements. And in the public record, it states that only $1.6 million of funding was able to be secured, so there was a gap there. And I think that maybe that gap of that $1 million, that maybe were not able to gain that funding as they said they could, was the cause for these items not to have happened and not to be followed through on. And that's in 3. I've highlighted that in 3 for everyone. And then we move forward to 10.2 in the lease. Following the effective date, tenant shall proceed with due diligence and dispatch to complete the construction on the premises of the following: completely refurbish 3 baseball fields with irrigation, fencing, turf, and lighting, new construction of basketball, volleyball, sand volleyball courts, construction of a new restaurant, shop, and sundry facility, including a dining patio. Talks about infrastructure and electrical and stormwater sanitary sewer lines. Capital improvements shall be valued at least $2.7 million, and tenant shall complete constructions of such improvement not later than 2 years from the effective date. I'm sorry if I'm moving fast. I'm just trying to utilize my time the best so you guys can see everything. And now we move to 10.4. If construction of the capital improvements is not completed within 2 years of the effective date, landlord reserves the right to re-enter the premises so long as tenant is compensated for the fair market value of the improvements. So if after what the lease is stating as I'm reading, and if I'm, need to be clarified by you all, the lease is stating that if within the 2 years that the nonprofit has not fulfilled their obligation to complete all of this, then the city reserves the right to re-enter and help get the park back on track. And then we go to the service agreement, which I've included a copy of the front page. The service agreement is the $150,000 that was agreed to, the city agreed to give to the nonprofit to run programs. And that was in turn for, the city was spending $104,000, which the net investment would have been a great idea. But I think maybe an over commitment and a little bit of overzealousness may have committed to a lot of things that maybe could not have happened. The parties, and as it reads in Article 3C, parties may modify this agreement to increase or decrease the scope. Basically what it's saying is that it could have been amended if it would have gone through the correct channels and brought to you all to make that decision. And if you look at Exhibit A, there's a long list of items that should have happened and that should be happening now, but just they're not happening. But the city has still given funding at the amount of $150,000 a year paid back since the beginning of 2015. And I'll start with C is spring sand and volleyball leagues, sand volleyball clinics, youth baseball clinics, which are supposed to be registered with Parks and Recreations, but upon my looking into it, and again, I'm not sure, this is for clarification purposes, I did not find CVCSF or Granite Park registered with City Parks and Recreations for after-school programs or any kinds of these programs that are listed here that it should be. And the following portions of the facility shall be open to the public at no cost on weekdays from at least 9 a.m. to dusk, national holidays excluded. Basketball, volleyball courts, sand volleyball courts, and walking paths and trails. So my question to the City Council is, if an organization has not fulfilled their part of the lease or service agreement so openly, is it normal to keep funding them the money to do pretty much the things that it wants to do without following through on its initial commitments. And I think that's something that the taxpayers in the city of Fresno should know, and again, it's not, I understand Granite Park is very important, and it's something that has a stigma on it for the city, I know that. And so coming here to speak on this today was a little difficult because I didn't want to seem like someone who was negative and against Granite Park, because I really would like to see it be the park that it was supposed to be. Because right now, as far as being a public park, if you're not playing a baseball game or going to watch your son or someone playing a Little League baseball game, there's really no other reason for someone to go. Whereas if there were walking trails or basketball courts, people could frequent the park and there may be more traffic, as from the 9 a.m. till dusk time. And so it just seems to me that there were maybe a lot of oversights or overcommitments and under-delivering that the city may have not looked into. And there was also, I included a letter from Central Valley Community Sports Foundation. It was dated February 3rd of 2017, and it was addressed to City Manager Bruce Rudd. And it says, pursuant to our recreational services, the programming agreement with the city dated 7 December 2015, this letter serves to inform you that the improvements are substantially complete and we are ready to begin deliveries of the recreational programs. So to me, that states that they're ready to go. Substantially complete, and I know that there's a lot of you are business owners in certain facets of opening a business. Substantial construction is 4 walls, trenched, plumbing, electrical. So I'm not sure in the standpoint of a public park what that means, because I'm not too familiar with that. But I know that there were a lot of improvements that were supposed to be done with the $2.7 million, and I'm just not seeing the substantial construction that was done to start paying for programs that are not even running. Again, I want this park to be successful. I was born and raised in Fresno, and I grew up in District 4. Mr. Capriolio, my parents still reside in District 4. But my wife and I now live in District 6, and we very much want to see Fresno succeed. And so this is not about me wanting to see something fail, maybe just seeing how the city can get things back on track to deliver what was promised in the first place. If anyone has any questions, I went over that really fast. I'm sorry. I wanted to utilize the time the best way that I could.
Councilmember Bredefield.
Yeah, Mr. Franco, I think you raise good points, not only about this project, but many projects that have gone throughout the years, decades with the city of Fresno. And, the administration is taking a look at, obviously, Granite Park and doing a financial analysis, and I'm sure we'll have some information about that. But you're right. I mean, we need to hold all people who come before the council with agreements that we agree to. They need to fulfill their end of the agreement. We've often seen in many cases where that hasn't been the case. I was going to pull an item this morning on consent calendar that had nothing to do with baseball stadiums or Granite Park, but landfill, and getting amendments to contracts, that things we agreed to, and they change. Now obviously it's very different circumstances and things of that sort, but I do believe that when we enter in contracts and agreements, the city does, that the people we enter into those agreements, that should be the terms. And so I don't understand having numerous amendments where the city of Fresno continues to pay more money. And so your comments are well taken, and I think those things are be looked at.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Capriolio.
Thank you, Council President. With Granite Park, that's been something that's been an area of great concern for the city of Fresno, and myself, having lived in my district for 42 years. And my son, who's now 24, hit his first home run way back when it was first opened. Unfortunately, it went into total disrepair and failure, quite frankly. So to have the management at Granite Park now is phenomenal for me, seeing what it was, what it became, and what it's becoming now. So my cup in this situation is always half full. I always want to look at the positive side of it. And my colleagues were there for the grand opening. If you haven't been to Granite Park now, it's amazing. It's clean, lots of activity there. The baseball fields are totally restored, AstroTurf everywhere. It's really, really phenomenal. We have a ways to go, no doubt about it. But we have to take these initial steps to get where we want to go in the final analysis. And it's 20 acres. It's not a small project. So I appreciate your concern. We're looking into all this as we speak. But I do want to say that it is 100% better than it's ever been in my 40-plus years in the District 4 area. And I thank you for your comments, and we'll keep working on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to our 10:05 scheduled item. It is a continued hearing to vacate a street pipeline and utility easement in Lot 8, track map number 4043, District 1, Public Works.
Good morning, Council President, Council members, and staff. My name is Jason Cammett, Chief Surveyor, Public Works Department, Fresno. This is a continued hearing for the vacation of a temporary street, pipeline, and utility easement that encumbered Lot 8 in track map 4043. This was a condition of that initial subdivision map. I think the general consensus is after the feasibility study that this was a secondary point of entry for this track until permanent facilities were put in place. And over time, different subdivisions came in around this subdivision that allowed different points of entry. This encumbrance over this Lot 8 was through a covenant that was released in 2011, which allowed the current owner to develop the slot in its zone for residential development, which I believe, which is planned for that. So it's been properly noticed and published. It's also open for discussion, which we've discussed the concerns of the owners that have some issue with this. And I ask council to continue this hearing and keep it open for discussion and take a vote today. I'll be available for questions if you have any for me.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I do have a couple cards that I will call up. The first one is Mr. John White. If you can state your name, address for the record, you will have 3 minutes.
My name is John White. I live at 5363 West Swift. With regards to the resolution of intention number 1125-D to vacate a street, pipeline, and utility easement in Lot 8 of the tract map number 4043, I object to the vacating of the easement for street, pipeline, and utility purposes recorded January 15th, 1986, document number 86005-116, O.R. This meeting was continued from last Thursday, the 20th, and I didn't recall at that time, but a couple days later, I remembered that in the mid-90s, about 96, 94, this Lot 8 of tract map 4043, an attempt was made to vacate that easement, and a person that lived in that neighborhood hired an attorney, and that attorney successfully defended the easement at a cost of a couple $1,000s. Now, I don't know, approximately a couple $1,000. I don't know if an attempt was made to recover that attorney fee or if the bill that was submitted was a portion of the unrecovered balance. But I mention that because much of that neighborhood, as far as I know, was completed. There's a lot at the end of Rickert And as I collected signatures, I was told that they're going to try and place some residential homes in that lot. But since the mid-90s, the use of that road and the development of that neighborhood is appreciably unchanged since the city council at that time voted not to abandon that easement. I measured the distance from Swift to Ashland with a car odometer. It's 0.2 of a mile. To find your way back to Ashland where Ellendale exits is over a mile. It's about a mile back to Ashland. By abandoning the easement, you're asking the people in that neighborhood, garbage trucks use that, utility services, fix water pipes. You're asking those people to drive over 30,000 miles a year if they can't use that road.
Thank you, Mr. White. And before I go on to the next, to Mr. Brophy, I did want to just see if we do have the Deputy Fire Chief here. And then staff, I know that we had a meeting with Mr. and Mrs. Brophy earlier or yesterday to talk about, I know, some of the issues and concerns. And so your concerns are noted, Mr. White, in terms of the access. And I think maybe staff can talk a little bit further in terms of this road. It is actually not a public road and not built to city standards. So that becomes very problematic for us. I know that folks have been using that street, but there are also, at least according to what was presented to me in the meeting, and maybe city staff can address that, is it CVS or? CVS has plans submitted into the city with the, and it has taken in mind that it would vacate any temporary usage of that private street. Can you explain that?
I believe CVS bought the northeast corner of that intersection. What they plan on, they merged the lots. It appears that they do have a plan to develop that parcel for one of their stores. They are aware that that road exists and that their plan is to remove that during the development of that lot. And it is problematic because the lot that we're talking about, Lot 8, is at the very north of this road. I realize that it is utilized, but the road currently exists over 3 private properties, and the city doesn't have any use over the majority of that road to the south, which includes the CVS lot and also another individual who owns a good portion of the road. So we don't really have a right there. I'm not quite sure during the whole history of this whole event. It's gone on for 30 years, so none of us that looked at this have been here at the beginning and understood really what how that road existed for this long. But it is over private land that we have no right to control.
We have no jurisdiction. We don't own this. The owners at any point can choose to put up barricades to block this private road?
This is true, right? We can't tell them to barricade it or not to barricade it. It would be their choice.
And we don't even own the lot that we are talking about today. The only thing that we are doing as a council is to vacate an easement that I guess came due back in 2011.
Well, no, the easement was a condition of the subdivision originally, and that was 1990. 2011, the conditions that caused that covenant easement to be put in place, everything was met from different points of access. So
the condition was no longer needed.
It was no longer needed, and they were released from that covenant in 2011. So this is kind of a formality to clean that lot up and be able to have it developed for residential purposes, and that's what we're here today to accomplish. And I do realize that there is an existing physical road there, but we don't have any jurisdiction to make a decision on the majority of that road, just this Lot 8.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. I may call you back up with some other questions. I know Mr. Brophy is here. If you want to come on up, if you can state your name, address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes.
Joseph Brophy, 5308 West Swift, which is the tract at Polk and Ashland that we're talking about. We're against the easement, closing the easement, and we collected over close to 100 signatures that are against closing it due to the gridlock at Ashland and the freeway, which is east of where our tract is, and to the north is Shaw and Polk, which is a 2-lane street, lots of gridlock. We had some questions about the record. Well, it's not, it would be a road if there were a subdivision there going out to Polk, which would be another entrance, which would be advantageous if it was through before Ellendale was closed. But if you're going to, we didn't have enough time actually to consult a real estate attorney on this. So if we could get a stay, we'd appreciate it. If not, well, I suppose you'll plan on voting today. But that's all I got to say. It's going to create a lot of gridlock both ways. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brophy, and I want to thank you and your wife for coming yesterday and meeting with us and with staff. I did want to call up the Deputy Fire Chief to just talk about the conditions that required us to have this easement in terms of access points, and also ask whether, and we had this conversation yesterday, your feelings regarding closing the access point and having enough access to ensure that if there is an emergency vehicle that needs to get to this neighborhood, that they would be able to respond within the time allotted that is considered, within standard.
Good morning, Council President. The conversations that we had the other day regarding this particular emergency vehicle access point on Lot 8 were probably put in place when the tract was developed in the mid-'80s. And the reason for the secondary means of access was because the primary point of access was off of Cornelia. Since then, there's been multiple tracts developed to the north of that, and there is a secondary means of access that comes off of Polk now, north of the tract in question. That would have lifted the requirement for the temporary access point, which is Lot 8, and there wasn't any further requirement for a temporary access. So I believe at that point is when the covenant was lifted, 2011. Google Earth video and photos show that a barricade was put up at one point between 2011 and 2012, and then temporary portions of that was taken down in 2014, evidenced in some Google Earth photos, and now that barricade has been almost completely removed, and some of the debris is still there. Without that emergency vehicle access, we still have 2 points of access to the subdivision, which is a requirement for the fire department. So it falls within all of the standards that we set for development of subdivisions, both primary access and secondary access, and we don't see that this will be an issue with our emergency response.
Thank you. I know that that was one of the main concerns for Mr. and Mrs. Brophy in terms of response times for emergency purposes. And also, do you know if your if our emergency vehicles are accessing, and is this the most appropriate? Because I know you mentioned some safety concerns because the street is also not built to standards.
Right, I'm reluctant to even call it a street. There's asphalt on the ground in a pathway from Ashland to Lot 8. It goes against the eastern boundaries of each of the two lots that it crosses. It is not built to city standards. It's not wide enough for multiple cars to travel on, especially in emergency conditions. There's no lighting. So there's a lot of things that make it an unsafe roadway to travel on if you were to consider it a roadway. There's no city standards. Once again, no street lights. There's no fire hydrants. There's no curbs and gutters. It was a temporary emergency vehicle access until secondary means of access was established to the north. At that point, it's no longer needed.
Which we have today.
Which we have today.
And then the other thing that came about in the meeting was that there is a planned development project to the north of there that would provide an additional access to Polk. Is that correct? Maybe.
Right, I think we both have seen the track maps, and we've approved through the fire department at least that track map to allow construction of a vacant lot to the north of that subdivision and south of where the current access is off of Polk to be completed, which would provide immediate access, almost immediate access to the Polk Avenue.
And closer.
And closer, yes.
Closer access. And so that was one of the things that for me was important to know, that there are things already planned along that way that would provide another access point, even though it's not required by the way that we develop neighborhoods. Our conditions have been met, which is why we have the ability to vacate an easement and allow this property owner, Mr. Pickett, to develop this one lot that was part of this subdivision. And so giving him the ability, because in fact, the city has no rights to that, I guess that kind of street. It's not a real street because it's not a public street that has been utilized over the last few years. So I did, make comments to Mr. and Mrs. Brophy. You can go ahead and take a seat. Deputy Chief, thank you so much for answering those questions. I did make a commitment to the Brophies that obviously the building of a new home in this lot could take several months, and that also my commitment was to make sure that the development north of there, that we encouraged it so that that other access point that is closer to your neighborhood would be built, giving you guys access to Polk. Mr. White, I'll go ahead and give you an additional minute if you have a question or an additional concern.
There are 3 items that are incorrect, and access to Polk is not access to Ashland. Access to Ashland is only about 300 feet, and as far as I know, a fire road is not legally permitted to be blocked. So when it was blocked, that may have been illegal. I lived in an apartment. It had a private driveway. It was a fire access road to some parking stalls to access your parking stall. But if you parked in that fire lane, you could be ticketed, towed, and fined $600-800, something to that effect. And then there was one more, and there's a question about easements. I read on the internet. I'm not an attorney. Whether or not once the easement is granted, whether access can be blocked. So that would be a legal question.
To my understanding, we are not purchasing an easement from them.
I understand that this is a fire access road, and it's not legally allowed to be blocked until it's designated something else.
From what the staff has explained, the condition.
They used evidence of saying that it had been blocked at one time. I don't know if that was a legal action. And also, to permit access to an easement once it's been granted, whether or not it can be blocked as a private road, that's a legal question as well. And also, there is some confusion as to whether or not you're trying to access Ashland, which there would be no access to Ashland, and using the word to substitute for Ashland, the word Polk Avenue. It's a different street. So access to Polk is not access to Ashland.
No, that's correct. There is a difference, but it would create, Mr. White, an additional access point, which is
But that language was used in a confusing manner, and it was not explicit.
Okay, well, that's not what my statement was. My statement was that there would be an additional access point, and that access point would lead to
Be shorter. It
Polk.
wouldn't be shorter than the access from that neighborhood to Ashland. It would be longer. So they're saying
Yeah,
that it's shorter.
I didn't make that statement, in terms of access to a major street out of the neighborhood.
Those were my comments.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Councilmember Brenda.
Yeah, I'd like to, is there any way we could pull up that map and go over that, where this road is, and look at it physically? And then, so I get that this road exists, so I'm kind of torn, Councilmember Soria, because you and I both know that we have a lot of traffic congestion west of 99, and it's really the thing that I hear the most about whenever I have a district meeting, that side of 99. So when citizens come to me and tell me that this would cause even more congestion, that gives me a little congestion. So I want to figure out, what is the main impetus for us doing away with this road right now? Just that it doesn't fit city standards? And
Just to your remark about traffic congestion, this isn't an issue of traffic congestion because it's the same people, it's just having access to a different road. So now they won't have access to Ashland because it is a vacant lot that we had an easement just to have a second access point at the time where and if you guys pull up the map, you guys will see where the other neighborhoods hadn't been built.
Okay. Yeah, if we could take a look at that.
So it's the same cars.
So, so this is in your neck of the woods. Is your position that we need to do away with this?
Well, Mr. Pickett has come in and wants to develop another house in the subdivision. His conditions were met when he came to the city to build that subdivision. He was required to have 2 access points. So he did. Once the other neighborhoods around got built, the conditions had been satisfied. So there was no need for that easement.
Okay, and now he wants to build another house that would require doing away with this road. Is that right?
We wouldn't do anything with the road because we don't own the road. That is a private road that actually goes through CVS. The CVS is planned, if you see on the left corner of Polk and Ashland. A CVS is planned there, and their plan also indicates that they would not give up that space, the private where you see kind of, it curves around. So the bottom part is a CVS property, and then we have another property owner north of there between the neighborhood and Austin Way.
And so do you believe it's imperative to do away with this road at this time?
Well, a property owner has come to us and wants to build a home and develop it. And so I am going to buy what decisions were made in terms of conditions. His conditions were met. They're no longer necessary because there is 2 access points. I understand the concerns that my constituents have, but I've also made a commitment to make sure that the development north of them, you can't really see it on this map, but north of them is another vacant lot that actually there's a planned subdivision that would create a way to Polk Avenue.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. Yeah. All right. You answered my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
I had a question.
Councilmember Caprillo?
Thank you. Sir, you said you had 100 signatures? Is that what someone said? Could you come up and, I'd like to hear about that. Okay, hold on. We need to get you in front of the microphone so we can record and hear what you're saying. So there's 100 signatures from people in this neighborhood? I mean.
Well, that are closest to the entrance, as we are, within the area in which we live, which would be, let me see, Reichard Street and Constance And every street, and Swift, of course, and Barkus, several streets in that area was 100 signatures. They were all collected with the admonition to against the vacation of the street and pipeline and utility easement. We asked for more time. We were trying to understand why they would block a street and entrance to a main drag like Ashland for selling one lot. It didn't make sense to us. We weren't sure. We're not real estate people.
Right, I
We're
understand.
trying to figure out, that's why we asked for a little longer to consult a real estate attorney.
So the homes above the green space and the vacant gray, or I guess it's grass, whatever, those homes signed the petition, and those at the bottom of the illustration on Ashland, were they I'm trying to figure out who signed your petition. Were they close to this project or
They're
not?
close to the Ellendale. It's actually a street and it's paved.
Okay.
Even though it is an easement, yes.
Come on up, Mr. White. Let's
That big green square is a drainage ponding basin.
okay, if you get closer to the microphone, we can't quite hear you.
The big green square is a ponding basin.
Okay.
And so the neighborhood just north of that, it's a Swift, Rickert, Delbert, Constance. We collected signatures, probably over 70 within that neighborhood.
Well, there was a lot that weren't home. We
And
probably could have
some-
had
some
100
people
if we
were.
kept going.
And one of the original comments last week was that there's considerable traffic along that Ellendale Road.
Right.
And they would then be diverted through that residential neighborhood, a greater distance, and garbage trucks, all these utility and service trucks would then have to navigate through residents where children are playing, people are walking their dog, and this sort of thing. So right now, that street is about 300 feet to Ashland, and it provides considerable service to the people in that neighborhood, the service, utility vehicles and people that visit.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate that.
Right. We can go along with the fire marshal. He has the expertise on this. I'm sure that the time limit for fire, police, and ambulance would be close to the same, as he stated. It's more the gridlock we're concerned about. I am anyways, in my case, as were most of the people we talked to. Everyone we talked to has explained this.
Okay,
My wife, myself, and Mr. Smith.
thank you.
The reason I asked for an extension was because we weren't absolutely sure what was going on, and we wanted to consult a real estate attorney.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate your comments.
That one at Reichert has been proposed for many years, so if it could be utilized now and before Ellendale was closed, it would be a big advantage.
Thank you.
But it's up in the air, apparently.
So we're discussing one house in that whole entire section and a corner business? Rite Aid, that's it? The rest of the land stays vacant?
Well, CVS will take
That corner of Ashland and,
it's part of their parcel,
okay.
that private access point. And according to their plan, I do have Scott, if you want to come on to the podium and provide additional comments.
Thank you, Council President. Good morning, Council. Scott Mosier, Public Works Department. Wanted to just briefly recap on the situation. So what we have is we have a developer who built a small residential subdivision, got approved in the late 1980s. And that's, as Chief Simonius has shown, that Swift Avenue was very small. Where you see a paved road between the homes, that's Lot 8 of the tract. That is a legal lot of the subdivision owned by Mr. Pickett. What the city required back in the 1980s, because the subdivision, it was not completely connected. It only had a single point of public street access going back out to the main roads. The city required for fire safety a second point emergency access. And so what was done is on that lot between the home, that's planned for a home, the city had the developer record a temporary easement for street, utility, and fire access purposes. Everything south of where you can see the kind of the swimming pool and the backyard of the one lot, everything to the south of that point that meanders out to Ashland is on private property with no legal right to pass for the public. There is no city street easement on that point. So at this time, about a decade ago, enough other subdivisions were built, enough neighborhoods were built to connect it and satisfy 2 points of access for fire. So it was deemed no longer necessary to have that covenant, have that second point. The developer, they've lived up to their obligations, and they're now ready to basically build the one house on the lot to finish it. If we are to zoom back out, I just wanted to highlight that as that paved access, as that meanders out to Ashland, there is no street. Developments site plans have been approved. For example, a CVS pharmacy on the corner of Ashland and Polk, their site plan does not have a street at that point. If the city wanted to preserve a street there, we would need to go purchase that right of way. Rough estimate of that would probably be around $300,000 to $400,000. That may involve eminent domain for the city to go acquire a street at that point, assuming the findings could be met. And then the construction of that local street, that would I would estimate that at about another $400,000. So the developer has done everything that the city required them to do from back in the 1980s. It was temporary. It's been temporary 30 years. And there's a feeling of permanency to it, but it was never intended to be more than a second point emergency fire access for the neighborhood with the cul-de-sac. Staff still available with any questions.
Is there a sensitive time frame on the issue?
Only that the vacation by the council is necessary in order for the developer to build the one home. Jason, I don't know if you have input from Mr. Pickett as to time sensitivity.
No, I don't have his schedule. As far as developing that, I could reach out to him. I'm curious myself, but I don't have that information today.
Okay, so then it doesn't seem like it's time sensitive to take action today.
No, other than we would have, if we're going to move forward with the vacation, it'd probably be re-advertised and republished and different things like that according to the Streets and Highways Code. That would have to be reestablished.
So we can't notice it for a future date. We would have to go back again. Is that what?
Yeah, I would have to notice it again. We couldn't continue the hearing. No, I believe it's 2 weeks prior, 15 days prior. It would need to be advertised and noticed of the public hearing. We're at that point today.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So if it doesn't seem time sensitive, how much money would it cost us to notice it? Like who gets noticed, or how does the process work?
It's noticed in the Business Journal. I believe it's a couple of $100. It's
okay, so it's not thousands of dollars.
No.
Okay, perfect. So what I will do, I will just move to bring it back later if there's no time sensitivity, and then we would notice it at a time certain when we would be hearing this item, if that's okay.
Yeah, whatever you guys decide to
Okay,
vote.
perfect. So I'll go ahead. Do I need to move to do that, City Attorney?
You could do it by consensus if there's no objection.
Is there consensus amongst my colleagues? Perfect. Okay, so we'll go ahead and do that. Thank you. I will make sure that I follow up with you guys, and then if we can call Mr. Pickett and have a conversation with him as well, would be great.
Yeah, I'll make contact with him.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Mr. White, I will be happy to make time and meet with you and try to deal with this issue if we even move forward. So. Okay. Thank you, Mr. White. And we will be in touch with you, so before we move forward, we will make sure, if my staff can make sure, because that's what I thought last week, we had made contact with him. I don't know if ITSE did not take your information, but I know that Terry is here. She will make sure that we get your contact information, and we will be in touch before we move forward with it. I appreciate you guys making time to be here this morning. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Brophy and Mrs. Brophy, for being here. Next, we'll go to the next hearing, which is a 10:10 a.m. joint meeting of the City of Fresno in its capacity as housing successor to the redevelopment agency of the City of Fresno and the Fresno Revitalization Corporation. Marlene.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
As you're aware, we received a request from Hotel Fresno to amend its agreement from 9% to 4% tax credits and to make the project 100% affordable. The developer updated the pro forma as part of that request. That pro forma budget is included in your packet and is part of the record. It shows the total project cost is $26,861,000, and it also shows a gap of about $2.7 million, and the developer has committed to cover that gap with a developer loan to the project of about $1,711,000 and a deferred developer fee of about $980,000. The terms of the amendment as approved by council in its closed session are highlighted in your staff report, and they're contained in the amendment that is a supplement to your packet. In response to developer comments that are also in your packet, staff made a small revision that simply clarifies the affordable income target range to be between 30 and 80%. And further, it was clarified that upon the issuance of a certificate of completion by the city, the balance of OPA committed funds would be released, and that the developer must have closed permanent financing before the city deeds the kidney lot to the developer. Also, there were a couple of typo errors that have been corrected in the most current, or the current signed agreement that you have. The amendment clearly sets forth the direction from the council, that is, the deadlines to secure the funds would be December 31st of 2018, to obtain construction permits would be June 30th of 2019, and to obtain occupancy permits will be July 31st of 2020. Also, any deed of trust securing the loan shall be secured by the city in no worse than a second position. The developer, if the performance schedule is not met, the OPA terminates. And lastly, the developer will deed the kidney lot to the city in its capacity as housing successor within 10 days of your approval of this agreement. Again, there was a typo that indicated the number of days as being 1060. That's since been corrected, and that corrected copy is in your packet. So the developer has executed this agreement. Just in closing, I want to thank Deborah Barletta and John Hastrep for their work on putting this amendment together. And that concludes staff presentation. Should you have questions, I'd be happy to respond.
Thank you, Marlene. We'll go out to the public. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to comment on this hearing? See none, we'll bring it back to the dais. I'll make a motion. I know that we've been in conversations about this issue for some time. I'm glad to see that the city is probably in a better position today when this council approves this action. Councilmember Brandao.
I'll second that motion, by the way.
Thank you. So I have a motion and a second by Councilmember Capriolio.
Council President, I'd like to request an amendment to the motion that council could be updated maybe every 90 days. You know, that would happen. Or when this is till the first.
Yeah, why don't we ask her? So what would be an appropriate time for an update?
60
Certainly in
days or-
90 days, but
90
before December 31st is the next deadline. Is that 90 days?
Yeah.
It's less than 90 days. So by December 31st, because that is their first deadline to obtain the 4% tax credits. But yes, we'll happy to do that.
So if we can put on the agenda, so maybe in our last meeting of this year, is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that would be perfect, so that we at least have an idea of where things are going.
Sure.
Perfect. Thank you. So I will accept that amendment.
Likewise on the second.
Any opposition?
I had a comment. I just wanted to thank Marlene and your team for the tremendous effort you put into this project for years. And it's a nice way to close it out. And I thank you, and I thank your team. And please keep up the good work. You're valuable to our city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. So we do have a motion and a second. Any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries 5-0. Councilmember Baines and Councilmember Olivier absent. Next, we'll go on to general administration. We'll go out to item 3A. It's actions pertaining to 4,100 linear feet of water main installation North Armstrong Avenue, District 4.
Good morning, Mike Carbajal, Department of Public Utilities. This is installation of water main to close a couple of gaps in Armstrong Avenue between Floridor and Princeton Avenue. This is to ensure that we have adequate pressure, that we maintain minimum levels of service, as well as fire flows in that area. So to do so, we ask that you adopt the findings of statutory exemption to the California Environmental Quality Act, approve the 10th Amendment to the Annual Appropriation Resolution 2018-157 to appropriate $984,600 for the installation of the water main, and award a construction contract to Floyd Johnston Construction in the amount of $710,994. Be available to answer any questions. Thank you.
Perfect. We'll go out to the public. Is there anyone in the public who wishes to comment on this item? Sir, if you have a comment, you can go ahead and come on up. You can state your name, address for the record. You will have 3 minutes.
Hey, this is for water main, right? You guys hire companies, different companies.
Mr. Loza, if you could state your name, your address for the record, and then you will have to speak to the mic so that it could go onto the record, please.
Okay, 2543 White Street. It doesn't pertain to Armstrong area where I live at, but do you guys hire different companies and corporations to do like different biddings and stuff like that for the plumbing? Okay, and like the $700,000 is the estimated cost of what the plumbing company and everything's asking. I'm just curiosity. Yeah.
Sir, if you can direct your comments to me, and then if we need to answer any of those questions, we'll go ahead and proceed with that.
Okay.
So what is your comment exactly?
I see a lot of construction. I've been doing construction for 25 years, and I've been noticing Fresno City workers, Fresno, the people that you guys are hiring and stuff like that, and these corporations are lazy asses. Okay, people today do not know what work is. You show up at 8 o'clock, you get a break 2 hours later, and you get a lunch 2.5 hours later. People are late. People, you know what? I like to take this time. Sloan, sir, I know it's your 15 minutes early all the time, but anyway, yeah, he shows up 15 minutes early. But here goes, the thing is a lot of people take long coffee breaks, long lunches. Yep, I'm looking at everybody.
Do you have any specific comments to the item? If you do, this is your time. Otherwise, you can make any comments under unscheduled communication.
$700 and something thousand. Okay, how much of that is going to long breaks, long lunches, and long everything? So see, here goes the thing: is the calculations being done, and this phone is keeping everybody from doing the job sooner, cheaper, and harder. That's it.
Thank you. Great. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais. So there is a motion and a second by Councilmember Brandau. I do have one question, Mike, because I was looking at the bids, and so you guys had estimated about 600 and some thousand. I'm just curious because you have bids ranging all the way from 700 to $1.2 million. We're pretty confident that the 700 is pretty dead on what the cost would be.
Yeah, it's really, it's within 6% of what we estimated the cost of the project to be, so we're confident that that's a solid number.
Yeah, I was just wondering because you had one the biggest bid, 1.2, which I know that we're not awarding it to them, we're awarding it to the lowest bidder, but I was just wondering, because it's very, very different.
Right. I think
from-
I think there's definitely that being an outlier, but there's a solid group of bids that are pretty close together there.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. So we do have a motion and a second. Any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries 5-0. Councilmember Baines and Councilmember Levy absent. Item 3B. It's an action pertaining to adopting a finding of statutory exemption pursuant to Section 15262 of the California Environmental Quality Act.
Good morning, Matthew Bullis, DPU. What I have for you is an acceptance of a groundwater grant from the state for $990,600 and to fund previously completed TCP mitigation work for groundwater wells, and to provide additional funding for engineering design of 5 TCP impacted water wells. It also, the report requests approval of a third amendment to agreement with Provost and Pritchard Engineering Group for a cost of $677,000 to provide remedial design on 5 impacted wells, and requests that the grant funds be appropriated in the 2019 FY budget. I want to point out that when the original RFP went out previously in 2016, engineering design was included in the RFP. We had 3 consultants that solicited the work. We received costs associated with the engineering design, but we elected just to do that as a phase 2 and did not put it in the original agreement. We had a direction where we decided to see if the state would fund some of this work by applying for a grant. This did come true. The grant's been funded, and now we're coming back and asking to provide a third amendment to agreement to the original consultant for the work.
And is that the grant?
The grant is for $990, yes, to fund. It'll fund the additional engineering work of 5 water wells, and it also will pick up the original $268,000, a portion of that. They've backdated the grant funds to January 2018 to pick up our original costs.
Great. Thank you.
That concludes my recommendation, and I am here to answer any questions you might have.
Perfect. We'll go out to the public. Is there anyone in the public who wish to comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the dais. Any council members have any questions? There's a motion by Councilmember Brandao and a second by Councilmember Capriolio. Any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries 5-0 with Councilmember Baines and Councilmember Levy absent.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have unscheduled communication, I believe. I think that's all we have left. So we have unscheduled communication. I do have a couple folks for unscheduled. So first I have David Love. If you want to come up, state your name and address for the record. You will have 3 minutes.
Thank you. I, David Love, address 5707 East Huntington, apartment 205. The first monk saint with Light of the World Caliph Ministry. I noticed that there's a lot of Satans that are living in the city district number 5. They do a lot of kokon, it's Satan's work. I noticed one Church of Christ that betrayed God far from heaven. That's Mount Alliance Church, or Church of Satan, in the city of Fresno. I noticed that city district number 5 is the economic growth as of right now. I noticed that the lady that's going against Jose Balbazar for this city district number 5, she's working with those Satan that I'm talking about. That's how Jose Balbazar got injured from those kokons, Satan's work. I would like to know when is the voting for city district number 5 so I could come out and and vote my voice. City Council District Number 5.
No, November 6th is the next election, sir.
November 6th. Thank you.
Thank
That's all I
you.
have.
Thank you. Next, I have Jaime Loza. If you want to come up, I know that you filled out two cards, but right now is unscheduled communication. You will have 3 minutes. State your name and address for the record.
My name is Jaime Loza, 2543 White Street. I've been a little bit busy. Sorry I haven't showed up for a while. I've been a little bit incarcerated, kind of got jumped by the COs and stuff like that, so I've been real busy. Haven't forgot about you. Hey, Douglas, I'm out there.
But
See you
Mr.
showing up
Loza,
for
if you
15
can
minutes
just
early.
direct your comments towards me,
Okay.
please.
I've noticed a lot of people are late here. Okay, I do recordings and stuff out there. Everybody's showing up late. A lot of people are showing up late. Breaks are being half an hour. I'm still on this, okay, because lunches are being long, breaks are being long. You know, what time everybody gets off, I don't know. But this is money adding up, okay? It even goes to the people you guys are hiring, okay? If everybody's on this phone, so the city can save a lot of money if you guys were to do stuff like that. Now, I'd love to talk about Mike Tapupo, but sorry about that, not today. Now, here goes the thing is I don't know if I can talk about Fresno County being out of control up over here and stuff like that, but I don't know. But I do know is I'm back. Hopefully I don't get incarcerated. Hopefully I can still prove the point of Mike Tapupo, president of the board of CAL FIRE, corruption and stuff. You know, and and my belief and assumption and conspiracy of his friends being corrupted too, you know, so, but I don't have no proof. That's why it's called conspiracy theory. So I'll keep up with the videos. I'll see you guys soon. If you're out of character and I'm videoing you, please don't take it personal, guys, okay? I do not record women. I do not record women. Males only. So you guys have a nice day. I'm back.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak at this moment, as it is unscheduled communication? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and finish up. I think the last thing that we have left is closed session. And so, City Attorney, if you'd like to make an announcement, and then we won't be coming back. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, we just have Felix versus City of Fresno, and there will be no announcement afterwards.
And then just want to remind everyone that we will be adjourning in the memory of Brian Leong this morning. Thank you.